Hello crafty friends, it's Donna here, and I have a set of butterfly cards for you today. I'm combining this Inky Antics 1.1 paper from Rose Studio with some butterfly dies today, and I've cherry picked the paper pack for all of the blue papers. The first die that I'm going to use is called the butterfly cover die, and we're going to make the same card using two different techniques and two different colours. For the first card, I'm using a double-sided backing tape. I'll put aside the bit that I didn't use and use that in a later project. And then I'm going to run this sandwich through my die cutting machine. Because of the double-sided tape on the back, it's a little bit more of a fiddle to remove all the little insert bits. You can do it by picking the pieces out from the front, or pulling off a little bit of backing paper and poking them through from the back, or even pulling up a little bit more of the backing paper and scraping them off the backing sheet. That fiddle is now going to pay for itself in that gluing the piece down is absolutely simple. I'm just auditioning this all over the page to see where I like the colours. You can leave it with just the butterfly stuck down, or if you like, you can choose to replace some or all of the background pieces. I'm going to replace just a couple for today's card to give a nice white area for the sentiment. Then I'm going to cut off the extra and mount this panel onto a card. Today I'm choosing a top folding card from Paper Rose, which is Australian sized, which therefore matches the size of this cover die. I'm going to layer a sentiment on, which comes from a sentiment strip set called Rainbow Poppies, and I've used those for 3 of today's 4 cards. The next card uses exactly the same die, but this time we're going to use a black front sheet. It gives a very different look, and also a different technique. This time I haven't gone with a double-sided tape, which makes poking out the little fiddly bits a lot easier, but then you have to lay down all the glue. And so what you gain on one side, you lose on the other. It's up to you and what you prefer. I cut my backing to be very slightly smaller than the outline of this die, so that I could glue it on without having anything hanging over the edges. A little tidy up, and it's ready to go. Once again, I'm going to use a sentiment from the same Rainbow Poppies sentiment sets, and it gives a little bit of a different look. The next dies are quite different. These are called card creator dies, and there's so many ways you could use this. At the time that I was making and recording these cards, I was surrounded by boxes in Japan and working to a really tight time deadline. And so I've just got 2 ways to show you today, but these are really versatile. The dies cut out a butterfly, as well as a straight line through the card. It's easier than partial die cutting. And so for the first card, I've used that patterned paper again and cut the die vertically along the paper, and then tidied that up so that it's the right size, just to glue onto the front of a card. As simple as that. It's a really pretty card and so simple to make. Once again, I've used the Rainbow Poppy sentiments for this card. The final card is a little bit more complicated, and there are lots of different variations that you could make. First of all, I'm going to take my card and score it in the middle. You can see that my board is set up there to work for Australian sizes. I just have a piece of tape on either side, and when I lay my Australian sized paper between those, I can cut or I can score down the center line. This time I'm going to cut out the butterfly die from my actual card. And I'm also going to use that same Shimmer cardstock and cut one more butterfly. Unfortunately, I didn't keep the footage of this, but once I cut the butterfly, I then just snipped around the outside to give the butterfly its full shape. Next, I'm going to trace the shape of the butterfly onto the back of my blue paper so that I can cut an insert for the wings. And I'll cut this out with scissors, cutting fairly generously on the inside of the line that I drew so that nothing will stick out from behind the butterfly once I stick it down. I'm going to sandwich this patterned paper between my two butterflies. First, I'll add glue to my free-flying butterfly and stick that down onto the background, and then I'll add glue to the front of my card butterfly in exactly the same places and stick that down on top. You can choose what you'd like to insert between these two layers of butterflies, and I have an example here where I've coloured some vellum. This shimmer paper has a really glossy, shimmery surface, and I don't think that ink will dry very well on it. And so, I'm first prepping the area with my powder tool, then stamping in navy blue, and then embossing over the top with clear embossing powder so that I can be sure that my sentiment won't smudge. That's all for today's set of 4 cards, and so I'm going to leave you with some pictures of them all. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I hope that you're getting time to be crafty and that you're getting time with your loved ones. Until next time, stay safe. I'll see you soon.